All right, good evening, good evening. Happy Sunday to you all. Y'all, right? Hey, guess who's back, right? Ha. So I'm Anika S. Jones. Please say the S, y'all. And I serve as the lead consultant of Holistic Fluency, a mathematics and communications firm. At HF, y'all, we believe that we are fluent in growth and we're fluent in connection, right? And we have receipts. Okay. Y'all, thank y'all for joining us this evening. Um, you know what? It's geometry time. We're talking about angles and action tonight. So we're taking time to make sure that the names, descriptions, attributes, math vocabulary alert, right? That the attributes are recognized, that they're understood and applied appropriately. So while we're talking about shapes and in geometry land, we're going to focus specifically tonight again on the angles. So let's get those angles into action. Whether you're on the playground, in the kitchen, or deep in the trenches of math class, angles are everywhere. Today, we're breaking them down, and no protractor is required. Not today. All right, y'all, tap in. Please, in the chat, let me know what is your favorite shape? What's your favorite shape? Right? Personally, I like an octagon. But seriously, some of y'all are like, ma'am, Anika, I've never thought of this before. I haven't thought about it. I don't have one. But while you're thinking about your favorite shape or just that idea, imagine having this conversation with your little people and explaining why it's your favorite, what you like about it. Remember, we said we are going to talk about the descriptions and the attributes of the shapes and angles. See how that comes into play? Y'all, so pro tip, and it's okay if your favorite shape just happens to change every week. Hint, hint, wink, wink, right? Helping them practice with their descriptions, with their attributes, naming those shapes, naming those angles. So, super quickly, I know some of y'all are also like, okay, we're talking about angles. I don't know why we're spending a live on this, Anika. Well, listen, even if you're thinking to yourself, why does my child need to get this deep into it? I don't think they're planning to be an architect. Someone that's like, listen, we're talking about teaching angles, and the kids are just extra wiggly at this time of year, right? Some of us are thawing out from some ice and snow. Um, Others, we're sending not just thoughts and prayers, but also donations dealing with the fire on the other side of the country. So it's a lot going on. We get it. But let me tell you something. Angles are like seasoning in a good gumbo, right? They're subtle but essential, and without them, the whole recipe falls apart. Okay? Angles help us understand shapes, build spatial reasoning. And spatial reasoning, y'all, those are some of our career paths where people are cosmetologists and barbers, right? So not just the architects, not just the engineers, all the different types of artists, interior designers, lots of lanes, lots of paths end up touching spatial reasoning. It shows up in a lot of paths, I should say. But overall, other real world concepts like construction and sports and design. Y'all, for sports, y'all remember that episode? Anyone remember that episode of Family Matters where Steve Urkel was hustling people in pool because he was just calculating the angles? So he was killing them on the pool table. Does anybody remember that? Okay. Okay. Cool. So we're super clear that yes, angles matter, even if your child's not trying to build the next Eiffel Tower, right? Okay. So if we're going to start with thinking about on the playground, let's play angle tag. Let's play a game of tag where kids have to freeze in the different shapes, right? Acute, right? Obtuse angles. Bonus points if they're super creative about it, right? Bonus points. What about swing science and actually observing the angles in the swings? So next time you're at the playground, point out how the swing moves and angles. Ask, so what angle is the swing making when it's all the way back? What about when it's straight down, right? What's happening? Another playground thought, it's an old school game with a twist. Yeah, what about hopscotch? Right? Draw angles on the ground and have kids hop from one angle to the next and make them call out the types of angles before they jump, right? It was almost like pool, right? We were just talking about pool in its connection to angles and spatial reasoning. But you know how you have to call out your shot, before you take it in pool? Are you supposed to, if we're playing efficiently? So those were a few ideas for the playground. You all at home, angles in the kitchen. Listen, grab a slice of pizza, maybe some pie. Y'all, food is the best math manipulative, okay? So ask, what angle is this slice, right? What angles do you see inside of this slice? Please sneak in some fractions also. I know we're talking about angles, but please sneak in some fractions. Also, how many slices do you think it would take to make the full circle, to make the whole? Y'all, there's so many misunderstandings around and about fractions. So the more practice to help with their progress. So please sneak them in. We'll talk about some specific fraction things though. But pizza is a super simple one. Actually, when I started teaching, I had to really think. I said, when I first started teaching, it was about 20 years ago, and there were a number of major pizza chains that actually had on their corporate website fraction activities to do with the pizza, like while you were eating. So they don't have that anymore. I haven't seen it in a while. But if you Google pizza fraction activity, you'll find what you need, right? Ask Miss Google. You'll find what you need. Also, at home in the kitchen, we can play Name That Shape for a variety, not just triangular shaped things, but really as many foods as you can, whether it's a slice of cheese or bread, a carrot stick, a pepperoni slice, whatever you have, make it a talking point. Make it a talking point. So outside the kitchen, we also can talk about a DIY, a do-it-yourself protractor. So if you have some string and a ruler, that's really all you need. You can create your own protractor to measure angles around the house. Like that little awkward cabinet door that never quite closes, there'll be a great place to measure, right? Y'all lean in and make sure that they are measuring, that as they're measuring, that they actually classify the angle. So they're telling you what type of angle, right? And depending on their age, listen, depending on their age, we can level it up a bit. They can set up a chart, and in the chart, they can have where they list the item that they measured. They can draw a little sketch, and then they name that angle. Okay. So they're practicing math in a very real way. And you, the adult, you bought yourself a little time. You bought yourself a little splash of time right there. You did. Okay. Y'all, in the classroom, because we're working to meet all these different learning styles, right? You have your auditory learners who they're locked in and listening very well, your visual learners, that when you're showing the pictures, the images, they're focused. And then our kinesthetic tactile, where they have to do it. So we're engaging that as we're focusing on that as we're focusing on engagement, working on the different learning styles, meeting those. So maybe we have a game called Angle Detective, something along those lines. You call it what you want, right? But the premise is the students are challenged to find and name as many angles as they can around the classroom, desk, corners of the board, a kid's elbow. Everything is fair game, y'all. So this can be tailored even to focus on different classifications on different days, right? As you're working on the different angles. So another activity could be tape it out. Now we know, right, sometimes, especially the math class, masking tape, it's a manipulative. If you did not know, masking tape is often a manipulative that we use. So for this, tape it out, they're literally using the masking tape on the floor to create different angles, right? This could be a partner or a group activity, but when they finish, let the students walk the lines and they shout out which angles they see, right, as they're walking around the room. Or down the hall. That's a great hallway activity. Also, speaking of hallway activities, anything that's interactive and collaborative, right? If we want more space, we want to make sure they're not too crowded. We space them out. We can put them in the hall. It can be a hallway activity. Y'all, but what about an interactive and collaborative anchor chart? Y'all know we like chart paper, right? So turn this whole process into an art project. Have students add real world pictures of angles to a giant poster. Bonus points if they even caption it, right? Like social media. This obtuse angle lives its best life under my chair. I mean, y'all shout them out if they were extra creative about it. But this strategy can really be applied to any concept, just making sure that they're connecting deeper to the concept. You could even remix it and almost do it opposite. Make it a sorting activity, almost like the old school. Some of y'all, I don't know if y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, but the old school Soul Train scramble board, right? So it's a bunch of shapes. They're pictured, not shapes, shapes and angles mixed up, and they sort them into the different classifications of angles, right? So doing that activity both ways. And I'm sure you all didn't think I was going to get on here and not talk about SEL meeting with math, right? Y'all knew that. Y'all knew that. So when math and SEL connect, you all, confidence grows, which means learning grows. And that's where we live. That's our space. So when we're connecting these things, one, we're building resilience. So it's okay. And let me say this a couple times. It's okay if the kids don't get it the first time. That's usually not how we learn, even as adults, right? Sometimes people have to say things more than once. You have to hear from different people before it clicks. So it's okay if a young person doesn't get it the first time. But I will say, y'all, teach them to say, and we're working on our vocabulary quite a lot. Teach them to say, well, this is tricky, or oh, this is a little harder than I thought, but I can figure it out. I'm going to call timeout for a minute. I've had conversations with adults where I said, oh, I was working with the student and the student said, I can't do it. And I'm like, oh, no, like, yes, you can. You can do it with help. And so a parent said, well, I told them to say that. I told them to say, I can't do it because that's when they need help. I said, well, if the goal is they need help, that's what the student needs to say. I said, because that's two different things, right? Saying I can't do it versus I need some help. That's two different things. So again, we're being very careful about our word choice and helping them build their resiliency through that, their resilience through that. So math, yeah, we're going to make some mistakes, but as long as we're letting the kids know that we're there with them as they made a mistake and we'll work on it together. We're talking about angles. That's helping them hit the right one. All right. Also, while math is meeting SEL, the second thing, y'all, we're encouraging collaboration. Kids are social, right? Sometimes adults in the classroom, people get worked up, like, oh, they always want to talk. Let them talk. Let them talk about math, though. Give them a task to work on together sometimes, and knowing that they're going to be able to talk to their friend, they're going to focus when they need to. So you can pair them up for tasks like maybe an angle scavenger hunt, right? Teamwork makes math feel more social, more approachable, right? We know sometimes a lot of math scaries come for young people. Like, oh, I heard my mama say she wasn't that good. My dad is like, he done, right? So when we let them work with a friend, with a classmate, it'll feel more approachable, more social. So that's definitely a win. Speaking of wins, celebrate the small wins. Y'all, every time they correctly identify what they need to, they nail it. Y'all, that's a reason to cheer, celebrate. And let's be real. Recognizing the 90-degree angle is harder than finding a good parking spot on a Saturday. All right, y'all, look, y'all know I have corny teacher jokes. I told y'all. Okay. But again, now it's your turn, you all. If you have a question you might have about angles, or you want to share your favorite angle related activities in the chat, I'll give y'all some time to type that up now. But I will share in the meantime a couple questions that come up often, right? So someone says, well, how do I explain angles to the kids when they won't sit still? They don't have to sit still, right? That we talked about the different learning styles. There's a lot of ways that students can be moving around and demonstrating to you what they know. But timers are also helpful. When it is a certain amount of time that they do need to sit still, maybe to write some notes down, to put something on a paper, let them see that visual as well, right? So, but they don't have to be sitting, they don't have to sit down the whole lesson, especially littles. Let me lean in. Little people. It is proven that they learn better when they're moving. So how people get frustrated, there's a lot of social media jokes like the kids doing backflips when they're eating and they roll on the floor, and they're processing, right? Especially when they're watching TV. That's my personal reason. It's because they're processing, and kids move when they're processing information. Okay. Another question that has come up. What's a quick way to practice angles on the go? And my go-to with my younger person, my medium boy, I call him. He likes to play I Spy, right? So you could definitely play I Spy with angles, not just the angles, but the shapes. And once you identify the shape, talk about the angles inside. You can definitely do that on the go. But when it's your turn, if you're really driving, please keep your eyes on the road. We're still looking forward. All right. All right. So, y'all, in closing, math is everywhere. We know this. And so, of course, angles are no exception, right? From recess to dinner time, it is all connected. The key is to keep it fun, keep it real, and keep it relatable. Brace yourself for one more corny educator joke before I sign off, okay? So, whether it's acute or obtuse, you're always the right angle for your child's success. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good evening. Bye bye. Thank you.